Today we are talking with Grant Osborne from Crayon and drawing upon his vast experience in the marketing space. And so the first question is, what had you wished they had known before expanding or launching into overseas markets?
Yeah, I think so. There's a couple of things. So one, I think working in an agency and working with multiple clients, the opportunity to test the market with some paid search, for example, was really valuable. Doesn't cost a lot, but allows you to just understand where the results are going to come from and what I guess the uniqueness or oddities about different markets are before you really commit to investing time, money, people in different markets. So that is one thing. I think it's important to test the markets, do a bit of market research, do a bit of real life research, like with some paid ads, and yeah, go for it. The second thing, and I think this is with my more recent experience, is working or expanding into new markets can be tough. And I think it's important to think about who you should partner with. And partner could be suppliers, partner could be with complementary businesses, but really think about the go-to-market in terms of who already has a footprint, who already knows people in that market that you can buddy up with and partner with. So for example, with the current business, we work closely with Microsoft and AWS, and we do a lot of work in Australia. We don't have a lot of boots on the ground in Australia, but we go along and partner with Microsoft and AWS, go to all the events, work through their sales team to get referrals and other things. So that's been really valuable for us because those existing partners have already trust in the market, whereas we're relatively unknown. So yes, you can enter new markets, but somehow you've got to build trust and credibility. And I think oftentimes partners who already have that is a good way to go.
Excellent. So from your experience in terms of, you mentioned around partners in other markets to kind of help with that trust and credibility to be able to gain that there.
Yep.
Is there, I suppose, something that you've seen from your own side of things or in other companies that the local resources didn't seem to cover, or just things that you kind of had to learn along the way because you couldn't find the information here?
I think local resources can go a long way, depending on your organization. In my current role, it is more of we're a B2B services company, and relatively high value, so high touch, which is different to e-commerce. But I think in e-commerce you can find lots of resources locally to help you expand overseas, and as long as you've got customer service, I think, in time zone, so you can respond to customer queries quickly and not have a blank spot overnight. I think you can do most things locally. But for us, as a B2B services organization, where we've found the need in those markets overseas is having boots on the ground, to be able to build those relationships. It adds to the credibility, but it also, allows those people to really understand the market. In B2B sales, you've got to build relationships, and I think those are best done in person. Yes, sure, there's an online component, but you've got to have face time in the markets where you're trying to sell. So yeah, that would be my recommendation there, depending on if you're kind of the e-commerce online model or if you're a high touch B2B.
Yep. So feels like you've almost kind of covered the last question that I had for you. which is, what would be your biggest piece of advice for other people looking to expand or launch into overseas markets?
I don't know if there's one piece of advice. Yeah, I'll always start with understanding your market, so understanding your numbers. So to understand the addressable market in those regions as well, right? So you can spend a lot of time and effort going into markets because you think your product is relevant, only to find that actually it's not as big as in other markets, and they use something else, and so there's competitive pressure. So it is important to do that. I think it's also important to know your numbers around, well, realistically, what is my customer acquisition cost going to be? What is my lifetime value? How long is it going to take to pay that back, and what do we need to be successful? And those are questions that I think need to be answered up front. And then to be successful, I think there also needs to be alignment from the team. So it's a commitment, right? It's not just a hey, well, initially you may test it out, but then your whole sales, marketing, product team need to be aligned with, hey, this is an opportunity market, this is priority for us. Yes, we need to look after our existing customers, but how do we need to do things differently? And so whether you call that a growth team or a go-to-market team or whatever, I think there just needs to be an understanding and an alignment that we don't know everything, but we're willing to keep talking and figure it out together. And that's where I guess internally you need alignment and multiple heads to help drive that forward. And then externally, you're looking at, well, what partners can help us to do this, and give us some runs on the board and referenceable customers in those markets as well, so we can personalize our communication for that market.
Good to have your experience, especially on all the different companies that you've worked on over the years as well.
There's been a few.
Yeah. Excellent. Well, thank you.